Today we're going to have a discussion about the Sony a6000 versus the Canon T5. We're a house divided as to where Little Britches likes the Canon T5 and I'm a bigger fan of the Sony a6000. So we're going to have a conversation. Little Britches, can you say hello to everybody?
Hello.
All right, Little Britches is an avid Canon T5 user. So let's start off with point number one. The Canon T5 is $499 as seen here with a 18 to 55 kit lens that includes image stabilization. For $499, that is a really good deal to get into that. The Sony a6000 is $699 with kit lens, and we should note we don't own the kit lens for the a6000. This is not the kit lens. This is the 20mm 2.8 E-mount lens, but $699, so it's 40% more to get the Canon or a Sony a6000 over the Canon T5. So price-wise, Canon wins. Video autofocus. I like the Sony a6000 because all I have to do is set the video on and it will automatically track kids running back and forth, cars, whatever. It will automatically keep everything in focus. Like the video cameras of the 90s and early 2000s, it keeps it in focus automatically. You don't have to worry about it. Canon T5, you've got to switch over to manual and you've got to work the focus ring to keep everything in focus. And I think that's a big downer. I think if you're going to be doing any type of family video, you should be using the Sony a6000 and not the Canon T5. What do you got to say about that, Little Britches?
But you take photos more in your life and you really take them lots more than videos, and a Canon automatically focus on them.
That's true. All right, so, but do you agree about the video?
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree about the video. Image quality. Image quality. The Sony a6000 has much improved image quality over the Canon T5 in my opinion. We have 24.3 megapixel sensor, lots more dynamic range, and better high ISO, low light picture quality. Canon T5, 18 megapixels. Now, so they're close, 18 to 24, it's not too bad. Low light, high ISO, not as good. However, when you're focusing in the dark, the Canon T5 does a much better job when you're in low light situations, autofocusing. So what we're saying is then image quality, better high ISO, more dynamic range, we're going to go with the Sony a6000. Although it's not to say you can't take good pictures. We'll put up a picture from Little Britches in a high-speed photo that he took of a water balloon bursting. It's an excellent photo. So you can get excellent photos from both cameras. So we're just a little nitpicky there.
Yeah.
When you take your Canon T5 out, do you ever worry about charging the battery during the day?
No, because I use it for a half a day for 15 days. It doesn't run out, but on the 16th it does.
Okay.
Really good battery life.
And when I have the Sony a6000, you bet the house I've got an extra battery. You'll get 2 hours of continuous time-lapse use. You know, you could go all day long with the Sony a6000, but I absolutely would carry an extra battery. Okay, so we're going to give battery life to the Canon T5. Frames per second. So we're shooting sports, and the Canon T5 does 3 frames per second. It takes 3 photos every second. The Sony a6000 can take up to 11 photos per second, or 11 frames per second. So I think the Sony wins that battle of frames per second, 11 versus 3. What do you think?
Yeah, but sometimes in football, if it's in the daytime, it would be much better for a Sony if you're like getting him from it in the air and you want to catch the football while it's going in the air, to go through it. You should really have a Sony, but a Canon, it's like 3 photos a second. It's really, really good for taking pictures. And 3 photos a second can make, even though it's slower, it can get really good pictures. Can happen. It doesn't mean it can't get as bad picture. It doesn't mean it can't get bad pictures in a football. It can still get one. Like when I took a photo of someone bumping their head on a soccer ball like a bunny, it still takes really good photos.
That's true. It does. Just because it only takes 3 photos a second doesn't mean it's going to take worse photos. It just means it takes less per second. And for some people that's good, because otherwise you'll rack up, thousands and thousands of photos of a regular kid soccer game. And you don't need thousands of photos for that.
And then it would just run out when you are really wanting to catch it. You're just going to run out of time to do it.
Yeah, run out of buffer. Is that what you mean, run out of buffer? Yeah. Okay, so we've got that. So we're going to call that a draw, because you can get 11 frames per second, and I think that's really, really good. It feels like at 3 frames per second, you can still get a good photo. Our last point is weight. And so we took the time to weigh each of these cameras to the nearest half gram. And here's what we found out. The Canon T5 with kit lens weighs 677 grams. Without the kit lens, body only, with SD card and battery, it weighed 480 grams, just like this. No lens cap. We have the battery and the SD card installed, 480 grams. The a6000 with the 20mm 2.8 lens weighed 409.5 grams, and without the lens, with battery and SD card installed, 329.5 grams. The other card slot was empty. So weight-wise, Sony a6000 is a lot lighter.
But it seems like the Canon weighs less. It seems like it weighs 0 pounds, so that would be the best camera for a kid. It's like really good for sports, and if you have a kid that likes sports, it'll be awesome for it.
Yes.
And it even has a strap holder, but the Sony doesn't.
Hey.
Well, it does?
It does.
I never knew that.
But it's so light I don't use it. But you don't use one either.
I don't use
Neither
one
one of
either.
us use straps, because they're both actually really light cameras. I think the Canon T5 has a good feel to it, don't you? And Little Britches is right. I mean, it does feel light. If you would have asked me which one weighed more, I would have guessed that they weighed really close. I may have gave the edge to the Sony a6000, but I would have guessed they weighed within at least 75 to 100 grams of each other. They feel good. So there you have it. If you're looking at the Sony a6000 versus the Canon T5, I'm going to say Sony a6000, and Little Britches is going to say
the Canon T5.